Hey, what's up guys? I'm James Withy, and today we're going to talk about how to prepare for a consultation with your tattoo artist. Alright guys, so we're back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about tattoo consults. In this video, basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to explain to you what exactly a consultation is in tattooing, and then I'm going to give you some step-by-step instructions on how you can make the experience as pain-free and convenient as possible. Alright, so first things first, what exactly is a tattoo consultation? It is basically a meeting between you and your tattoo artist where you're going to be discussing details about the tattoo, how the tattoo might look, what your preferences are, bounce ideas off each other, that sort of thing. And then also during that meeting, most likely you're going to be scheduling your appointment and getting everything planned out as far as when you're actually going to get your tattoo. It is worth mentioning that there is a possibility that whatever tattoo artist you choose is going to handle things slightly different from what I'm describing in this video, but probably, most likely, the information that I'm giving you here is going to be in line with what most tattoo artists are going to be doing in general, so keep that in mind as we go forward. Okay, so let's go ahead and start getting into exactly how this works as far as what consultations entail and what the process is. Typically what's going to happen is you're going to pick a tattoo artist, you're going to set up a consultation with them either over the phone or via email or something like that, and in most cases a tattoo consultation is going to happen in person. One question that I get asked periodically is whether or not tattoo consultations cost money. The answer is no. Every tattoo artist that I've ever met does consultations for free. It's no sweat for us to have a 5 or 10 minute conversation with you. It shouldn't cost you any money at all to do that. And if you need to consult more than once, that's usually fine. If you have like 2 or 3 consultations with an artist, even though it's normal just to have one, that's fine as long as you're not going to be the kind of client that wants to come through 5, 6, 7 times and never actually gets the tattoo. Don't be that person. So that kind of leads me to the next portion of this video. Now that we've talked about what a tattoo consultation is, let's go ahead and talk about how you can prepare for a tattoo consultation so that you can make the experience as smooth as possible. Okay, so first things first, if you want to get the ball rolling and you're looking to set up your tattoo consultation, the first thing you need to do is pick a specific artist. So there's a lot of different ways to find a specific artist that you want to do your tattoo. I have another video that kind of explains a few of those different ways, like 3 ways how to find a good tattoo artist or whatever it's called. But the gist of it is that you want to make sure that you have viewed the tattoo work that the tattoo artist in question has already done in the past, so that you can tell whether or not it's something that is in line with what you're expecting out of the tattoo. So you can look online, check out portfolios for a specific tattoo shop. They're going to have all their artists listed on there, and you can pick the specific artist that you like their stuff the most and you want your tattoo to look like that, and then you go from there, contacting that artist and setting up a consult. After you figure out who you want to get tattooed by, the next step is actually contacting the artist. So how you can contact the artist is going to depend specifically on his or her circumstances and how they like to handle things. Some tattoo artists only like to be contacted via email, and you can find their information like on their website or on their business card or whatever it is. Some tattoo artists work at shops that really insist that the tattoo artist and the client correspondence only happens through the shop. So you're going to have to call the shop sometimes and ask to speak to that specific artist, or ask whoever the counter person is to schedule an appointment for a consultation with that specific artist. Okay, so now that you have reached out to your tattoo artist and you figured out how they like to handle things, and you've scheduled your appointment for your consultation, or you figured out which days they work, so that you can just drop by whenever they're scheduled to work at that shop, the next step is to actually have your shit together so that you know what you're going to say and how you're going to handle things once you do get in the door and start talking to them, so you can make the process as efficient as possible. The number one thing that is important for you to know when you go into the consult is you want to know what you're going to get tattooed on you. You have to know what you want. So I really can't stress that enough. I get clients sometimes that will come into the shop and they'll say that they want a tattoo, and I'll be like, all right, well, what's the subject matter? What do you want to get? And they won't have an answer for it. And they'll be like, I don't know. I just kind of, want a tattoo. And they'll expect me to spend a bunch of time helping them come to a conclusion on what they should get as a tattoo. Now, understand that as the tattoo artist, you know, that's kind of an annoying thing. And the reason why is because I don't even know you. I don't know what you like. I don't know what kind of person you are. For me to tell you what to get tattooed is pretty silly unless you're looking to just get like a custom piece of artwork that's a pre-designed tattoo that I've been wanting to do for a long time, that you saw me post on Instagram or something like that. So another thing that's kind of related to knowing what you want in terms of subject matter in the tattoo is you want to know what style of tattoo you want, or at least, you know, have a general idea. So as far as like different kinds of tattoo styles that are out there, you know, it'd be really unfair for me to assume that everybody out there is going to know what new school means or know what neo-traditional means or that sort of thing. You shouldn't have to worry too much about like those words right there if you're a total layman when it comes to tattoos. All you really want to know is whether or not your tattoo is going to be like a realistic tattoo or if it's going to be an illustrative tattoo. And what I mean by a realistic tattoo is exactly, you know, what word I just said. It's something that looks like it's realistic. It's something that looks like it could be a photograph. It's something that looks like it's derived from reality. Now, like an illustrative tattoo is going to be the type of tattoo that looks more like it's a drawing than being like a photograph or something. So this is like, you know, a traditional tattoo with like the bold outlines and like, you know, the simple gradients and fanned out color, or it could be like a neo-traditional or a new school tattoo that kind of looks like it's realistically shaded, but it's obviously a drawing and it has line work in it and that sort of thing. So at least know which side of the fence you kind of fall under. As far as those two terms right there, you want to know whether or not you're going to get a realistic tattoo or an illustrative tattoo. That's really important information to have to provide for your tattoo artist. Now, if your tattoo artist that you're going to has a specific look to all of his tattoos where he pretty much does the same style every single time, and that's why you went to him, then you're probably not going to have to worry about that too much. All you got to do is let him know, like, I want, you know, this tattoo and I want it to be in your style that you usually do. You don't really have to know the terminology for it. He's going to get the gist if you just tell him that. Now, another thing that's worth mentioning is you really want to try to avoid asking a tattoo artist to do a tattoo that is unlike anything that you see in his portfolio whatsoever. So, you know, an exception of this might be like simple tattoos. If you're just getting like something that's a little, you know, cursive name or something like that, that's totally fine. If you don't see any of that stuff in his portfolio, that doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't do it, and it's worth asking. But if you go to a tattoo shop and do a consultation with a guy that only does realistic tattoos, coming in and asking him for a traditional tattoo or something that looks more like a drawing or something that's really cartoony and illustrative, most likely he's going to turn you down on that project because realistic is all that he does if that's all that you see in his portfolio. So the next thing I want to talk about is placement. It's pretty important that during the consultation, you and the tattoo artist agree on which area of the body the tattoo is actually going to be placed. And the reason why is because, you know, depending on where the tattoo is going to be, that's going to affect how the tattoo artist visualizes the tattoo in terms of how big it's going to be, how it's going to fit, how long it might take him, all different sorts of factors. So it's a good idea to have like the placement of your tattoo already like generally figured out before you go in for your consult, as far as whether you want it like on your, you know, forearm or if you want it on your leg or whatever. That way the tattoo artist can let you know how much it's going to cost and kind of visualize it from the get-go as far as what it's going to look like, what the entire process is going to entail, that sort of thing. However, if you really don't know where you want the tattoo to be, but you know what the subject matter is going to be, you know, it's okay for you to go into the shop and ask the artist what his opinion is on that. And oftentimes he's going to offer you suggestions on where you should put the tattoo based on like the shape of the subject matter or what your budget is or like all kinds of other factors like that. Okay, so another piece of advice that I can give you going into a tattoo consultation is you want to know your budget. And, you know, it's important to understand that every tattoo artist is going to have different price points and different rates for like how much he charges and how much it costs to get tattooed by that person, based on like his skill level, how fast he tattoos, how much clientele he has, all those factors combined. So, you know, you want to know that you're getting a tattoo from a person you can afford to get a tattoo by, and at the same time, you also kind of want to have like a general idea of what the maximum amount of money you can spend on a tattoo is. That way, if your tattoo artist, you know, quotes you an amount that's higher than that, then you can let him know, like, actually, I can't do that. I only have $600 to spend on this tattoo. And that way he can kind of meet you in the middle in terms of like changing the tattoo idea, maybe the size of it, maybe simplifying some things, maybe, you know, rolling with a style of tattooing that's faster so it won't cost you as much. He can collaborate with you to kind of meet you in the middle and figure out what's going to both be a good tattoo that he's willing to do and something that you can afford. It's also worth mentioning that this budget that I'm kind of telling you to come up with as far as how much you're willing to spend on the tattoo, it really shouldn't be like an exact number. It should be more like a range as far as how much money you're willing to spend on the tattoo. Make sure it's a little bit flexible, because tattooing is not necessarily an exact science, you know, and you don't really want to come into the consult making that the emphasis as far as the information that you're providing for the tattoo artist. You don't want to come in and say, hey, I want a tattoo that's going to be of a dragon and it's going to be on this part of my arm and I need it to cost $600. Because if you do that, it's very likely that your tattoo artist is either not going to work with you because he feels like you're you know, basically forcing him to downgrade the quality of his art to fit your price point, or it's going to make it so that your tattoo artist is going to design the tattoo in a way where he's really not super confident that he can make it cost exactly how much you want it to cost. So he might actually design you like a $450 or $500 tattoo if your budget's $600, just to leave himself a little bit of wiggle room in terms of, you know, if he ends up taking a little bit longer on it than he thought that he would. So you're likely to either turn the tattoo artist off, or maybe even get an inferior tattoo if you come in really strongly emphasizing your budget. If I were you, I would probably just determine what like the general range of the amount of money that you're able to spend on the tattoo is, but keep that information to yourself unless what your tattoo artist quotes you is above that amount. That way you can ask him, hey, is there anything we can do to bring the price down into this range right here? Or you can just decide that that tattoo is too expensive for you, or that artist is too expensive for you, and you can look elsewhere, or maybe plan on getting it at a different time. Okay, so another tip I can give you guys if you're coming in for a consult is to bring some reference material. And what I mean by that is some sort of imagery that kind of alludes to what you're expecting as far as the look of the tattoo. Now, this could be like digital form, like you just show the tattoo artist on your phone, hey, I like tattoos that look like this, I want it to kind of have this style to it. Or, you know, you can like bring out like a printed piece of paper or something and say, hey, I really like the way this tattoo looks, can you do something similar? Now, it's really important to mention that when you're bringing in this imagery, don't expect to, you know, show the tattoo artist a picture of a tattoo that you see on Pinterest and expect him to duplicate that tattoo exactly. Most tattoo artists are not going to do that, especially if they're good tattoo artists and they're reputable. So think of the images or the references that you bring in as more of just a starting point, rather than being like something exact that you're going to be glued to during the tattoo process. So another tip that I can give you going into the tattoo consult is to make sure that you wear clothing that is going to allow you to easily access the area that's going to be tattooed. And the reason why is because your tattoo artist most likely is going to want to look at the skin that he's tattooing so that he can take note of any like birthmarks or scars in the area, or see like what type of skin type it is and evaluate how long it's going to take him. Either to give you a price quote or for his own planning purposes as far as how long the tattoo is going to take him, or he's going to want to measure you out and kind of figure out what shape his drawing is going to need to be to complement your anatomy, or how big it's going to need to be to fill out the area properly. And it can be kind of inconvenient for a client. Like for instance, if it's a female client and she wants to get a tattoo like on the back of her shoulder, like her upper back scapula area, if she comes in wearing like a blouse that's like a button-up type of thing that she wears to work, for me to see that area, she's gonna have to undo her whole blouse and then take off her shirt and be in her bra for that, just so I can see that area. Now, if she's uncomfortable with that, then that's not an ideal situation, obviously. So a better piece of clothing for her to wear in that situation would be like a razor-back tank top that's gonna have that area kind of exposed, like the top of the shoulder scapula area. That way she doesn't have to fuss around with removing clothing or anything like that at all, if that bothers her. Now, if that doesn't bother you and you're not shy at all, then who gives a fuck? It's not really relevant. But if that is something that you're concerned with, make sure you're wearing the appropriate clothing as if you were coming to get the tattoo that day. Yet another tip that I can give you going into the consult is that you want to make sure that you're open to your tattoo artist's suggestions as far as how the tattoo should look, how it should fit, etc. The reason why is because, you know, there's a lot of limitations within tattooing as far as what's possible, what's not possible. There's a lot of different ways to make a tattoo fit where it's gonna really complement the anatomy quite well, and tattoo artists are used to designing things in this way on a regular basis. So if you come in with a very specific vision in your head for how this piece of artwork is gonna look compositionally, like in terms of where things are placed in that piece of artwork, it's very likely that if you insist that your tattoo artist sticks to your original vision, you might end up with something that is an inferior tattoo because you're not a tattoo artist, and what you're picturing in your mind is not the ideal piece of artwork that could possibly exist on your body. So if you pick the right tattoo artist to begin with and you really love their work, make sure that you are working with them in a collaborative way rather than trying to like treat them like you're their supervisor or something, bossing them around in terms of how they handle the project, because A, you're gonna end up with a better piece of artwork on you most likely if you listen to their advice, and B, you're gonna lessen the risk of having that tattoo artist just decide that he's not gonna work with you because you're too like difficult and micromanaging. So make sure that you're open to suggestions, make sure you let your artist be the artist, and let him know during the consult that while you do have some general requirements in terms of what you want the tattoo to be and how you want it to look, you are open to suggestions, so that if he does have those ideas, he can bounce them off of you and know that you might be receptive to him instead of feeling like he's being controlled the entire time and that he's kind of being forced to do a tattoo in a really specific way that you're envisioning that he might not think looks good, but he just doesn't want to speak up on it because he doesn't think you're willing to listen. Okay, so the last thing you want to make sure of before you go in for your tattoo consultation is you want to make sure that you are both willing and able to schedule an appointment, and you also want to make sure that you are willing to put down a deposit towards that tattoo to hold that appointment in place. So if you don't know what a tattoo deposit is, basically it's an upfront payment to make sure that clients are going to show up on time for their appointments. And typically it's going to be like a small cash payment, 50 bucks, 100 bucks, whatever. Make sure that you have that money with you, or that you have some means of paying like credit card or whatever before you go in for your consult, because if you plan on going through with the tattoo, most likely you're going to have to put a deposit down before your tattoo artist is willing to schedule an appointment with you. So if you want to know more about tattoo deposits, I have a whole video on that stuff. It's called All About Tattoo Deposits. Check that one out, and I give a lot of details on exactly what those are and what they entail. But yeah, like I said, you're going to have to be willing to wait. Most tattoo artists are going to have at least some appointments on their calendar, and you're going to have to talk to them to figure out specifically which days are the earliest available that coincide with days that are convenient for you. But basically, after you're done putting down the deposit and scheduling the appointment, your job is done. So all you're going to have to do is just wait until that appointment date comes up and just make sure that you have your game face on when it's actually time to get tattooed. So that wraps it up for this video. What we've talked about is what exactly a tattoo consultation is. We've also talked about some tips for you to best prepare for your tattoo consultation and make the process as smooth as possible and as convenient as possible. Keep in mind that the advice that I gave in this video is more geared towards people that are looking to get custom tattoos, like stuff that's a little bit more complex, whether it's baseball sized or like full sleeve or whatever. I'm talking about stuff that's going to be designed from scratch by the tattoo artist that's doing it, that actually requires a consultation ahead of time. If you're looking to get like a much simpler tattoo, like a little lettering tattoo or like a logo or something like that, most likely your best bet's just going to be to just do a walk-in and just walk into a shop that's reputable and just get a tattoo from whoever's available that day. I'll make a separate video about how to best go about getting a walk-in tattoo. But yeah, that's pretty much how you go about doing a tattoo consultation. If I left anything out, or if you guys have questions for me regarding this sort of thing, go ahead and leave your comments in the comments section below, or your questions in the comment section below. I'm going to do my best to answer them. I'm here for you guys. If you guys like the video, please hit the like button below. That helps me massively in terms of growing my channel. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.